375 GIBBS rifle, which we've got for doing extreme long range. Just at the start I went at the video, I want to apologise for the fact that I'm coming down with the dog's disease. I'd like to get this done. It's got to a stage in the season where pretty sure we're not going to get it done this year, but I'd like to go through things. I was planning on getting a big shot done and then go through the rifle, but it really doesn't look like it's going to happen this season. So not to go with the never say never, but I thought I'd go through and talk about it. But I'd like to apologise for everyone. Like I said, come down with the dog's disease. I'm coughing, sniffing, that sort of stuff. I hope it don't annoy people too much. But anyway, I'll get on to this video now so you can see all about this. To start off with, basically it's in a very customised Macmillan stock, which was a carbon fibre stock, which has a full aluminium bed system. So up inside, under the action, there's a V-block system which locates, so there's no bedding required, it sits down nicely in the V-blocks, and it works really nicely on that score. This was, as I said, a carbon fibre stock, and I've done quite a bit of work to it. So up the front here, I have a full aluminium block I've put into the base of this rifle, into the base of this stock. It really stiffens things, and it was as much I was looking for a little extra weight. If you look closely in here, there's a mini rail that actually clips on here, and I've basically taken all the workings of an Atlas bipod, one of the long leg Atlas bipods, and then made pieces. I've made this centerpiece, I've made the lockdown knobs, I've made the big skid feet system, and then I've also reorientated things so it has the same sort of lockdown as on an Atlas bipod, but it works onto the front of the rifle. I actually have another bipod which you could use for bench rest and that sort of stuff, which doesn't have the big gnarly feet on it, but really it's set up to use like here. And as you can see, being situated the way it is, it's got a very good centre of balance, or centre of gravity, being so high up on the rifle where it actually pivots from. So I've done that. Down the back of the stock, I've done my normal mods. I've actually made a new cheek rest. So the cheek rest has all been, that's actually made out of steel and then covered. And I've also done my normal back rider, which also braced into the back of the stock there. Being these lightweight stocks, they're nice and light, and for hunting, I get it. For a big rifle like this, not really my cup of tea anyway. So I've made that, put my own butt stop on it, really made things to suit what I want it to be. So that was the stock. The rifle itself, which I think I've mentioned before, is a Barnard action with a Bartlein barrel. Now, the Bartlein barrel is a 33-inch barrel in a gain twist form, going from 12 to 1 to 7.5 to 1. That is a very long rifle, as I'll show you with the guns in the gun safe. This one is by far the longest rifle in the crowd, and it really does have some length to it, this rifle. Listen, I'll come back to that in a little bit. So we have this set up on essentially a custom by Barnard, a 60 MOA rail. It then has a modified, so something we've modified the cold shot base to make it work like we want to, running at 210 MOA, and then with the internal adjustment of the attacker second focal plane scope, we can get right out to approximately 335 MOA, which we're using that sort of stuff. Different bullets are ranging from 300 minutes out to 330 minutes of elevation to take this shot to a little bit over 4,000 metres, or coming up to the 4,500 yards. So it is all set up, ready to do that shot, and we can get more elevation in if we want to, but it is certainly a very custom setup that ends up with the scope looking a little peculiar sitting up there, but really with the way I've got everything set up, it's functioning very, very well. Down the back here we've got one of the folding US Optics cant bubbles to make sure we keep our cant good, and I've also put myself a custom bolt knob on, nice and big. This action is very nice to use. It is a nice big action to run the big bullets, and it's all very nice and very strong system. Up the front here we have a T5 Terminator brake from Kiwi Greg over in New Zealand. That's done a very good job of holding the blast. We are using this brake. It does push a bit of dirt around the place, but we need a very efficient brake. And we've actually got some shields and things done to run on the brake, which I'll run when we're shooting less distance. But at this sort of distance with that sort of MOA, we're actually looking through the brake. So we want that to be as small as possible. So that's working really well for the job we're trying to do. As I said, with this bipod, I've got this adjustable lever here, which locks down really nicely on the front there. So that makes it very easy to shoot this thing, and in general this rifle shoots very, very well. The attacker scope does all the things I want it to. I'm not having to use holdover at all. I'm actually able to dial in and run 0. So I'm putting the crosshairs on the target with the cold shot base, but it's doing its job very well as well. I'll come to basically the length of this barrel and a little bit of the story that's gone with this. We're essentially hoping to get this before summer this season. We didn't actually get the rifle with this, that and the other. We didn't actually get the rifle to us until essentially just on Christmas. We were sort of ready at that stage. We had a plan. We went for this barrel, we went for the gain twist, because essentially we were planning on using this bullet on the end here. Essentially the 427, 425, they're both about the same in the actual bullet, in a cutting edge bullet, which is what we're planning on using. So 427 grains was the one we're actually using, and that's why we wanted the amount of twist coming down to the 7.5 twist at the end there, and we're trying to get maximum speed with the 33-inch barrel. Now, the actual speed we're seeing, we're up in the 3,100 feet per second out of a 427 grain bullet, so it's all going very, very well on that score. But we found, and this took us a while to figure out, we sort of got something that in theory was going to do anything, but as with everything, when you're doing things like we are, you might not get quite what you're chasing. What we found, and it took us a while to figure out, because we essentially shot really nicely out to 2,400 yards. We tested it at 3,300 yards or 3,000 metres, worked really well there. We didn't have a good shooting day, it was really high wind, but these bullets dealt with that very, very well. We then went straight out to 4,000 metres. Big call, we're on a mission, but we essentially struggled. And what we struggle with is being able to see anything. There's very nice conditions, dry paddocks, clean air. It was a bit warm, a bit hotter than I'd like to be shooting in, but it was the middle of summer. And we went through essentially 40 rounds over 6 different sessions, firing and not being able to see anything. It took me a while to figure it out. We were actually shooting with the rifle, Sam doing a job, getting very frustrated, trying to spot for everything, trying to see hits. And with the long range camera, I eventually figured out what was going on. The camera out on target, they were all set up ready to get close to our target, was recording the sound of what was out there, and I was hearing the sound barrier being broken twice in a row, so bang bang, as it actually came back down through the sound barrier. What that told me with a bit of thought was the bullets were tumbling. Why were they tumbling? What it really comes down to, and this is all theory at this stage, and it's my theory, but essentially is that big long bullet. This big long bullet is a big sail once it starts to come down below, once it goes transonic. It essentially is losing stability because of how much friction it causes going through the air. And then it was causing it to tumble. So essentially spinning it faster, yes, it might have helped trying to go down to a 6 spin or something like that. And maybe it's just our conditions. We tend to find that most VLD bullets will hold through the transonic zones. You know, if we shot over to the side here, we've got the little Hornet, but next to it the 223, a 308, 338 Lapua, and then a 375 Cheytac loaded with a 50 grain bullet, 350 grain bullet, and the bullet we're shooting, which is the improved one. I dubbed the 375 GIBBS as that is the parent case. Actually, a GIBBS 505 is where the Cheytac comes from, and then it's really set up to where we've gone through and put it as a GIBBS, as to explain the round from what it actually was. Come back to where we were, the large bullet there, and it doing what it was talking about there, came into one of the fears that I was concerned about when I first thought about the monolithic bullets. Is because their actual mass versus the area is actually low, meaning they're lighter for their size, that the air friction was going to cause them issues. So once I figured that out, and like I said, that was frustrating and really hard work. We tried changing ground conditions, we tried changing time of days, we tried all sorts of things to try and see what was going on. But we changed over to the bullet in the middle of those three, and that's actually the 350 grain Cheytac bullet. Very nicely finished bullet. Biggest issue we had is that Cheytac are going through some issues and we couldn't get any bullets, so it was a real struggle trying to get those bullets. We essentially got 100 of them here. We went through and did some shooting and some testing, and by the time we got to things we hadn't got all the way done, but even on our first day out we shot 20 bullets, and at 3,800 yards, which is a range we'd come back to try and see things, and we were almost on the plate on our first attempt with those bullets. The next couple of times out we'd gone out to 4,400 and we had some issues, meaning the conditions were terrible, it started to rain, just really struggling in all sorts of things, but still did pretty well. Some of the things I didn't bother putting on with video, I did put another one when we were out at the 4,000 metres, and on that day shooting in the evening, but really we've struggled with waiting for bullets. I should say the last time we were out we shot with the next bullet, which is the 350 grain cutting edge, which is not quite as efficient in the way of its ballistic coefficient, is not quite what the Cheytac bullet is, but very, very close. The Cheytac bullet we're running around 308 minutes of elevation, and we're in the 325 minutes of elevation with the cutting edge in the same place. So, a bit of a learning curve. Is it just my rifle? It may well be, but certainly most of our effort and the timing we had to do things was done with that big 427 grain, and the ultimate truth is for us it didn't work. Awesome up to 3,000 metres, awesome bullet for that sort of stuff, really nice, really efficient, but just really couldn't go transonic, not with what we were doing. So I would say we were finding around the 3,500 metres, it was pretty much dropping out of the sky. Start to tumble, then it's a big sail once that starts tumbling, and it actually come down. Like I said, I was actually able to hear two sonic booms, bang bang, as it went through the sonic boom, which is obviously one end and then the other end going back through the sound barrier. So anyway, that's a look at the bullets. Like I said, there's a range, the little Hornet that we've just recently got, and right the way up to the Cheytac, and obviously then that's the 375 GIBBS. That's an overview of this rifle. Hopefully next season we can go out and get done and shoot out to where we want to be able to get to. Great rifle, a lot of challenge going through what we've been through, a fair bit of learning to go through, and obviously from the cold shot base, which we really modified and got working for us properly on our 338 Le Pour, and what we used to shoot 2 miles with the 338. The rest of it really is going through what is the obvious, or not obvious, but the logical process, long barrel, gain twist barrel, to shoot the big monolithic bullet, whether that's a plus or a minus at the end of the day, through the fact I'm not able to take the really big bullets out there, but there's a fair bit more research to do on that score, but we really have got a combination that's working now. Now if we can just get the weather to do the right thing, then we're onto it, and it was looking very consistent and very nice to shoot if we weren't dealing with such horrible conditions. So hopefully it'll be, well, like I said, never say never. Maybe we'll get another shot this season, but we'll see. We may not get another shot this season either. This may be basically waiting till next year. At the moment we're waiting for the last paddocks we're going to shoot in to be ripped up, and maybe if we get a dry session, a dry 2 or 3 weeks in the beginning of winter, we may be able to try again, but otherwise we're waiting for after harvest next year to be able to get back onto the place that'll give us that distance, and really looking forward to it. Great rifle, really like it. It's nice to shoot, it buffs you a bit, but it's nice to shoot, and we've put a fair bit of effort into trying to get to this place, so hopefully we can get some good results out of it. Anyway, I just thought I'd give you a little recap, a little look at what we'd actually done on that score, and once again, thanks for checking us out, and we'll catch you next time.